Welcome to Popcorn Planet. We are live, Andy and Kim, and the press conference is about to begin. We're going to let you hear. Here it is.
My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. Today I'm here to announce that our office will be filing charges against Nick Reiner, who is accused of killing his parents, actor-director Rob Reiner, and photographer-producer Michelle Singer Reiner. These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with the special circumstance of multiple murders. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, that being a knife. These charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. No decision at this point has been made with respect to the death penalty.
All right, that wraps up the press conference. We did give you sort of a best of. If you want to watch the full one, you can always watch our full shows over at PopcornedPlanet.com. But the big takeaways here, 2 counts of first-degree murder with this special circumstance because it was multiples and a deadly weapon, which was a knife. They are now pursuing a life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. He's being held without bail. And obviously this is not the evidence yet. They're saying the evidence will be in court. So all this is coming out. Not a lot of other, real new information has come forward, but significant charge against him. And it has Hollywood already reeling over this. This was actually predicted by Rob Shutter, who said they were going to prepare this. But I want to read this for the folks. This wasn't just a crime. This was a betrayal. People want the strongest possible punishment. They want the book thrown. I'm told prosecution sees this special circumstance as a double as the opening. They're pushing death penalty language to send a message. This case shocked the city, but not everybody is cheering. It feels wrong, especially knowing Rob spent decades opposing capital punishment. He believed it was immoral. This would break his heart. It's his own son, right? Others point to Nick's long history of mental illness and addiction. This is a tragedy stacked on tragedy. Hollywood Friend says executing someone who is clearly unwell isn't justice. It's revenge. Still, emotions are raw. People who are against the death penalty are now struggling whether they believe in it now. People are angry. When icons die this violently, ideals get tested. And honestly, I'm glad to hear this. We should be having these tough conversations. And I would argue back that while I don't agree capital punishment is always the way, there are certain instances where it is. There's just certain times where I don't know how else you get rid of the bad apples. And I don't see this as revenge. I see this as accountability. Because Kim, I said it ran earlier, but I want to do it again for this clip portion. From everything I've been learning about this Nick guy, he was not a good guy. Sure, troubled, had substance issues, not going to deny that. I'm very empathetic to that. But this man had every opportunity. They tried so hard. He did not want help. And it wasn't just about the mental illness. He seemed bitter, jealous, angry, multiple stories coming in, and sources even telling me this guy was just an a-hole, a very mean person. And in fact, more sources saying he really resented his father, hated himself for being not as prolific. A lot of us have that struggle. That does not give us excuse to blame mental illness to go unalive our parents. I'm sorry. But this kind of attitude, you can see it in a lot of the interviews that are coming out, which we'll show you guys here in the live and in future videos. But everything I see, I'm really unnerved, and I refuse to let this mental illness be an excuse to avoid accountability. It's also troubling though for me, because as much as this guy seems like not a good guy, a kind of a jerk guy who used and abused his loving parents, Kim, these parents were the opposite of abusive parents that usually trigger these kind of disorders or issues. These parents were trying everything they could. They tried everything to stop him from doing this. They couldn't. This is now a nightmare that Rob Reiner and Michelle, who are against capital punishment, now are their lives taken by their own son that they tried everything to try to stop. It makes a lot of us wonder, was this the final straw? Did they tell him no? Well, now reports are coming in, as Kim showed me, that it may have been while they were sleeping. That's what new timelines and reports are saying. To think he could go back and do this in their sleep. I'm horrified, Kim, truly horrified. On top of this, the daughter, Rami, I feel so sorry for this poor woman who came in. They were there for a while, found them in rigor mortis. So there was no even attempt to save them at that point. This kid, I'm going to call him a kid, but he's a man, he showed up and slit apparently while sleeping and then ducked out, went to his room, showered off, and then whatever was tweaking out. There's no excuse for it, man. I'm not going to let him go out and say, well, he's mentally ill. He's not well. And he's on substances. No, enough. You had every opportunity in the world. Everybody in this town's talking smack about how much of a douchebag this guy was. And it wasn't just because of the mental illness, Kim. So I'm wrestling with this because sometimes, they have the saying, only a child a mother can love. Sure, I get it. And I don't blame the Reiners for standing by their son. But the rest of us, now that they've been taken away at the hands of this spoiled, in my opinion, entitled brat who did have mental issues and abuse issues, substance abuse issues. Okay. None of that gives an excuse, Kim, in my opinion. No. There's no way you can stop this man from having to face accountability. But if the parents didn't want it, if the siblings who are still alive don't want it, what do you do as punishment, Kim? What are your thoughts?
I think my thoughts just on this whole situation, and like you have the headline on the screen, that the parents tried absolutely everything. One of the things that I've learned doing research on this case and looking at old interviews and the family speaking about it is that he went to rehab 18 times. 18 times by the time he was 22, I believe. And now he's in his 30s. So it's possible there were more. I don't know. And I don't want to say anything on record because I don't know. But this individual had every opportunity to turn his life around and to take accountability and to be a better person. And here we are. Yeah. And I have a lot of sympathy for people that struggle, that don't have as many opportunities to get help, because you do need help sometimes when you're going through stuff, right? And I don't like to hold that against people, but it's really hard for me in this situation to have empathy for this individual because of the way that it's all gone down.
That's a lot too. This is coming from Kim.
I know.
Of all people, my goodness.
And I will say too, I don't know if it will make it to the greatest hits thing of the press conference, but the press did say to be mindful of what we're seeing in the press, because unless it's coming from direct sources from court, it's not evidence. It's not completely, we can't vet it all, it's hearsay, etc. But something I do think is very interesting about this case is, as Rob reported, this has shaken Hollywood. And you've got a lot of people in this town that really cared about this family. I think something that we can really look at with Rob, regardless of how you feel about him, there were a lot of people that disagreed with him on topics, and they loved him. He is fiercely loved in this town. So you've got a lot of really powerful people, a lot of very rich people, a lot of people
conservatives too.
Yeah, a lot of people that have publicists, that have connections to the media, and if they want information out there that they think needs to be out there, it's getting out there. And I think the LAPD is going to have to really take that seriously, because them saying, oh, well, it's just going to be hearsay, anything you're hearing, that's not going to stop sources from talking. That's not going to stop people that feel like this has been a betrayal, that they've lost someone that they love. It's not going to make them stop talking, right? And this case is going to just get bigger and bigger and bigger, I think, because of that.
Yeah, I want to shout out some of these sources too, because here's James Wood, super conservative. A lot of people don't like him for his political beliefs, but look what he said.
Rob talked when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. People said such horrible things, and Rob did not. And when people say horrible things about Rob right now, I find it, quite frankly, infuriating and distasteful. Did I agree with his politics? I did not. Did I love him as a friend, as an artist, as an icon of Hollywood, and as a patriot? I most certainly did. And I am just absolutely devastated by this terrible event, especially for his family.
Yeah.
And for all of America, and for film lovers across the world. Rob talked.
I mean, bravo, dude. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I don't always agree with James Woods, but that's what we need more of right now, not divisive political nonsense. And so it's encouraging to say that. Now, just quick update. There were a lot of outrage that he wasn't in court. It seemed odd to me too, but apparently they even said in the presser, this is standard. It's not unusual for him not, because he's got to be medically cleared and given. I'm sure they're going to be making a lot of mental illness excuses or reasons. They want to make sure they're doing that by the book. So once he's cleared, he will arrive in court, and they will then do the official charges. But the other big news is he's being represented here by a pretty big lawyer, the same one who defended Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, Karen Reed, which honestly, given all the circumstances, pretty good outcomes for those clients, in at least in Harvey's case, the best one could get. But Alan Jackson is a legit, popular to many, defense attorney, and he has now stepped into the chat to represent Nick. Look, everybody deserves representation, of course. They have due process, their day in court. But this is going to be interesting to see such a big wig lawyer come in and attempt, in this town especially, as you said, Kim, come in and try to make an excuse as to why this man shouldn't be punished to the fullest extent of the law. And what are the surviving siblings going to want? There's a lot still to come, so make sure if you haven't already, whether you're watching now live or on the replay, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like. For real live viewers, hit it right now. Leave your comments because we got a lot more to talk about.